Justin Benson, Aaron Moorhead, and Dave Lawson, the men of rustic films, do not miss.
If we're gonna try to prove the supernatural, we're gonna need some kind of visuals, or people won't believe it.
Something in the Dirt is the fifth feature film from director duo Aaron Moorhead, Justin Benson. Writer, director, cinematographer, actor duo Aaron Moorhead, Justin Benson, who brought us films such as Resolution and Spring and The Endless and Synchronic, all of which I have raved about on this channel excessively. Once again starring Moorhead and Benson in acting roles, Something in the Dirt tells the story of two neighbors who witness something inexplicable in one of their apartments, and their journey to find a way to tell that story and find some sense of importance in their chaotic lives. Or at least that's what it appears like on the surface, and then the movie continues to unfold. So I actually saw this movie back in January at its Sundance premiere. I was unable to talk about it at the time for several reasons, not the least of which was mental health related, but also I just had to let this movie sit with me for a long time. It is a very mind-melting movie. It really sits with you and gets in your brain and just makes you sit and think about it for a long time, trying to unpack what it all meant and what actually happened and what it was about. And I mean that in a good way, truly. This film is thought-provoking as hell, and I loved it. What Something in the Dirt actually is a conspiratorial sci-fi nightmare that manages to be both incredibly human and compelling, not unlike all of their other previous works, using a sci-fi horror lens to basically unpack the human condition. But it also manages to be a quasi-documentary that is both alienating and relatable, and delving into the notions of human desperation and loneliness in times of isolation and despair. It's this fascinating, miraculous little indie film that was made over the course of COVID quarantine, just Justin and Aaron and Dave in an apartment with some camera equipment, swapping out who was operating the camera depending on who was in a scene. It's a marvel of indie filmmaking that's really just born of a bunch of friends who work well together, wanting to make something cool at a time when no one's really making anything. And what follows from that is a wild, brain-melting little film that is just as much about everything I described before as it is about the filmmaking process as a whole. I mean, hell, the film in the end credits is literally dedicated to the process of making movies with your friends, which is honestly just like everything that I live for, and I vibe with that so much, and I really respect these guys for sticking to that. What makes this movie so unique is its ability to seamlessly shift the narrative on you multiple times, and in doing so, makes you reframe your thoughts on everything you watched prior and reanalyze it from an entirely different lens. This film starts out cinematically, making you think you're watching a narrative about two people deciding to make a documentary, before pulling back and make you realize you're already watching that documentary, and everything you've seen up until now is part of that documentary, and the story you thought you were watching is entirely different from the story you're actually watching. But that first reframing is only the beginning, and then the way this film unfolds is kind of like an onion, and continues to pull back layer after layer after layer, and then leaves you with a dozen questions more with each new layer removed, and by the end you're wondering what of what you watched, if anything, actually happened. The ambiguity of it is incredible, and it leaves you with a lot to chew on, way more than any of their other films, because it leaves so much room for discussion here. Oh my god. Why are you driving a lawnmower down the street? What the fuck? Levi and John are both pretty lonely, misanthropic people. Levi basically has nobody and just moved to a new apartment, and John just went through a divorce. Both are pretty desperate for human connection in that they don't really have much in common, but they find commonality through this joint desire to uncover the truth behind whatever they experienced in that apartment. And as they get to know each other more and more details start coming out about their pasts and their personalities, you start wondering how much of what they are telling you is true, because they're the ones making the documentary, and it's clear that both of them have ulterior motives behind certain things they're doing. But you're also forced to wonder, is that the case? Because neither of them have the best social skills to begin with, so are they genuinely uncovering something unexplainable and mysterious here? Or are they both slipping into isolation and lead-induced psychosis and making connections where there aren't any because they are obsessing over something that cannot be understood by the human mind? That's the power of this movie. It pulls the rug out from under you multiple times in order to make you recontextualize everything you've watched up to that point, and in doing so, it's also analyzing the human condition, unpacking the nature of toxic interpersonal relationships, and analyzing the nature of how conspiratorial thinking preys upon the vulnerable and how desperate, shitty, lonely people will do anything to find meaning in the chaos and feel important because the ego cannot handle having no sense of drive or meaning or point to it all. All of that wrapped up in a sci-fi cosmic horror package that these two are so adept at making, but it's done in such a restrained fashion here. And the connections to their greater sandbox universe at large are scaled down, but they explain so much if you pick up on them. There's one detail here, one blink and you miss it detail, that is an Easter egg to several other films of theirs. And if you pick up on that detail in one scene, that detail holds so many answers to the questions that you have, and I have a strong theory on what this movie ended up being about and what the meaning of it all was, and I would love to get them on the show to talk about it, but I don't want to spoil it yet. All that being said, this is a fantastic cosmic horror think piece by Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson. Once again, like I said, these guys don't miss. They constantly make such unique and weird and inventive films, and Something in the Dirt maybe is one of my favorites of theirs. The more I think about it and the more I just kind of let it sit with me and think about all the little details that I didn't notice on my first go around, it's fantastic. I love everything these guys do. I can't wait to see what they do next, and if you want to check it out, it is playing in select theaters right now. Please go see it. Please support this kind of indie filmmaking. It is so, so important that you do so. The guys at Rustic Films do great work. They really just deserve to make whatever the hell they want to make, and I hope to see them get more support because they deserve it. And Something in the Dirt rules. It's in theaters right now. Check it out if you can. Go look at their Instagrams and see where it's playing. If it's playing near you, go check it out. Check it out when it comes to VOD. Let me know if you have seen Something in the Dirt. Comment below if you have. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know what you thought it was about. I really can't wait to hear people's thoughts on this movie and what they think it all meant. Thank you once again for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Please let me know your thoughts on Something in the Dirt below. Please go check this movie out. It deserves all the props. Got a couple more things I wanted to talk about on the channel before the year wraps up, and also catch up on some of the things I missed during my time away. And if any of that interests you, click down there, click the bell, click the like, click the subscribe, do whatever it is you do on YouTube now. I can't keep up with what the algorithm wants anymore. So thank you guys. I will talk to y'all soon.